What's up, Marvelites, and welcome back to another episode of the MCUExchange podcast. This is episode 48. Woo!
Woo!
My name is Aaron, and I'll be your host for this episode alongside me, Charles.
What's up?
And Joe.
Hello.
It's a big MCU week once again as WandaVision has already reached its end, sadly. But we still have a one episode, making of WandaVision episode this upcoming week. But we also have a slew of breaking news for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's get right to it. First up is we have our first news over for the X-Men for the MCU, the reboot. It's currently underway, and a new rumor from the Illuminati has arrived. An exclusive scoop from the Illuminati has revealed the first post-Fox merger X-Men movie is currently in the works at Marvel Studios. The MCU debut of the Mutants is currently being produced as a feature film reboot of the X-Men franchise, and the project is reportedly being developed under Marvel CCO Kevin Feige with the working title of, drumroll please, The Mutants. The Mutants. So yeah, The Mutants. And as of right now, no further details are currently known regarding the highly anticipated project. However, fans can more than likely, the term likely, expect the film to release after the currently announced slate up through 2023. The Mutants, they're veering away from the X-Men title. Charles, what do you think of this news?
It's expected. What I wasn't expecting was the title. It's still something that has to grow on me. Currently, I'm kind of not feeling it because the Mutants feels like less about the X-Men and just more about mutants in general. And I was hoping that the Mutants would have at least a more OG first class X-Men focus. So I am curious what the line of thinking here is with introducing the Mutants, but I feel like Kevin Feige also wants the name mutant to be something that will be like in the general vocabulary. Like when you think of mutants, you think of, oh wow, X-Men, these characters in Marvel. I think that's what that's what they want with this, but who knows? But I'm still waiting for it to grow on me at least.
Yeah, it's a unique title. It's the first time because it's MCU, and we don't know what to expect for this because it's years ahead. And Joe, how about you? What do you think about this working title for the X-Men reboot?
To some degree, we've gotten so used to saying X-Men that it's quite a surprise and a departure, especially if they do stick with this title for the film. To some degree, what I do find interesting is that the Mutants, I think, was the original name for the X-Men in a story that Stan Lee told us that was his original pitch for the characters before someone said no one's going to get that, and so he changed it to X-Men, which he funnily would point out is like, how would people know what the X-Men are but not the Mutants? I think it's the thing is for me is like, is this going to be a Spider-Man home situation where like they'll then add the X-Men or something to the title? That could be an interesting approach to do it. So like these are the mutants before they become the X-Men. Maybe they explore the history of the characters before we jump into modern day with them well established. I do see, like, in my personal opinion, I think the X-Men is it's better in a series format because there's just such a wide cast of characters. I think personally I would love to see them make like a Harry Potter approach, like have an academy of some sorts. The Xavier School is just like every season is a year in that school for young mutants. Then have the X-Men as like the big title films and stuff like that. I'm curious. They can really do so much with this franchise, and I'm really excited to see where they're going.
Yeah, and imagine if the title will be New Mutants. Joke.
The new mutants, the current mutants, existing mutants.
It's also worth remembering that not all mutant-related teams are called the X-Men. There's so many teams out there with mutants in them that don't have anything to do with Professor X and his school. So I guess in that regard, it makes sense to maybe just keep it the mutants first as an intro to the MCU.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to find out how Marvel Studios connects this to the larger Avengers-filled world that we have right now, right?
Yeah.
Now, moving on to another MCU property here is we're currently filming in Sydney, Australia, is Thor: Love and Thunder. And in the past week, there have been a lot of set photos that have surfaced online, with even Taika Waititi acknowledging that. in one photo. And apparently, there's this same scene that will happen from Thor Ragnarok, the play, like the play scene where
Yeah.
fake actors are there. We have it. I'm gonna do a rundown of what we saw in the past week, just to break it all down. First, look at Matt Damon as the Loki actor, while Luke Hemsworth is the fake Thor, and Melissa McCarthy will make her MCU debut as the fake Hela. Hell yeah! And also Sam Neill's
Hell yeah.
is back as fake Odin, and also we have a first look at Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, who's wearing a great suit there because she's like the character from Men in Black, but she's the queen of New Asgard there. And also we have our first stunning look at Natalie Portman performing an airborne scene because she's up in the air and she's like lightly transforming into her mighty Thor persona. So there's a lot to break in. Also, another one is Thor is Meek's new woman body, so like a costume or a robotic body.
Yeah.
So basically, it's establishing what new Asgard has been up to ever since the end of Avengers Endgame. And Joe, based on all of these set photos, are you excited for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I am. I'm really, really curious what direction they're going with this. It could be absolutely bonkers. I feel like Taika Waititi is the kind of guy to say, okay, I already went crazy last time. Let's amp it up quite a bit. The Meek in a female body, I think there was like artwork a while ago that kind of hinted at it potentially being a thing.
Yeah,
it's still a weird. Yeah, true. It's such a weird concept. I'm not gonna lie. I really hope they go all out with his like bug head sticking out of the body just to make it even funnier. The biggest surprise to me is Melissa McCarthy because that's it's not like she's a low profile actor. Just like Matt Damon, Sam Neill. These are well known actors. And I always wonder, is like, would they ever get McCarthy into a MCU film? I doubt it, because she just doesn't seem like the type of actor or actress that would join these projects. And then when I saw her in the Hela costume, I thought, oh, that makes sense. And I cannot wait to see the overacting of her as Hela. What are you the god of again?
And there's this, before I move on, Charles, there's this running theory that the Melissa McCarthy that we will see in Thor: Love and Thunder is the MCU version of the actress, and she's playing fake Hela.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Saw that on Twitter. Not from me. Saw that on Twitter. Yeah, Charles, how about you? You've seen Natalie Portman here doing an airborne scene. Do you think that it will like closely resemble the comic book storyline that she will have cancer, stuff like that? What do you think?
I don't know. Like I've seen people say, "Oh shit, this is where she gets the hammer, where she gets the powers." To me, that the shot of her just getting like gyrating on the air and like wind blowing in her hair, it kind of reminded me of her scene in The Dark World when she's just like floating in the air and then the ether gets to her.
Oh yeah.
It reminded me of that. So I'm not quite sure what's happening here. You'd think that if she has cancer and maybe she's undergoing chemotherapy and she's losing all her hair, you think that the wig might fall down when she gets like engulfed in a huge gust of wind. But I don't know what's happening here. But it is pretty cool to see her on set. The Matt Damon stuff is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny that they flew Matt Damon to Australia just to film maybe a cameo again. I hope that we actually learn more about these Asgardian theater actors because they seem like a funny crew. But I am curious what if they have a bigger role here apart from the recreation of Ragnarok.
Wasn't there a theory that Matt Damon is playing Baldur, and that it's just like his hobby or something? Like that was a huge theory going around.
Really? Oh wow.
That'd be kind of a waste for Baldur as a given how huge he is in mythology and in the Thor comics. But I mean, if anyone can make a joke out of it, it's definitely Taika.
Yeah. And the fact that the Asgardian theater actors survive Ragnarok, Thanos invasion of the ship, and the blip. Wow, that's amazing. Imagine that.
I'm wondering if that, the recap is Thor Ragnarok, but will we get the sequence of Loki and Thanos? So now the question to me is, who would be playing fake Thanos?
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be great.
It's just like a cheap put on purple chin.
Imagine a costume there. Low budget. Low budget escort costume. Whatever the case, guys, Thor: Love and Thunder it's going to be a blast, and can't wait to see it when it premieres next year. Hopefully in theaters, not on Disney Plus. And anyway, let's now move on to another news here. It's for Blade, because we have casting news here finally for Blade, because the Blade production is now coming together. It's been previously reported it will begin on September of this year, hopefully, and POC Culture has exclusively reported that Marvel Studios has put out casting calls for 2 black female roles for potentially this film. And first role is named Betsy, and is described as a 35-year-old black African American female. And is said to be an aspiring hero, and the role requires a strong background in comedy. The second one is Lucy, is a 30-year-old African American and said to be tough and on the run after losing her mother under mysterious circumstances, is spending time off the grid. So there's these characters already coming together for Mahershala Ali's Blade. Joe, based on this casting, what do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts about this reboot of Blade for the MCU?
So the big question is, and we also kind of got the confirmation that Blade is most likely going to be PG-13 and not R-rated. Is like, which direction are they heading? Will we get the nonstop vampire killer that we know and love from the comics, or are they going to go a different route? The casting, which we discussed, is kind of it kind of reminds us a lot of the canceled Blade comic line, where we were going to be introduced to the daughter back in 2015. So would they introduce, because that would be a very unique take. Mahershala Ali is I think he has a daughter himself, if I'm not wrong. I can be corrected on that, but like, that is an interesting dynamic, because it would humanize him in a really unique way, because the human aspect that he had in the original was the loss of his mentor, and seeing him kind of do what he does, especially in a world that is filled with superheroes. Like, how does that work, that we have vampires, we have a vampire hunter, but we literally have like Spider-Man swinging through a city? It's so many questions. And it's the same thing we had with the story with the mutants, is how are they going to really introduce these concepts into a world that already kind of has its own rules, similar to what WandaVision did with the episode last week, where, oh yeah, Salem witches, they were real. And it just makes me want a freaking mockumentary within the MCU of its history so much more.
Yeah. Moving on, Charles.
Yeah.
Are you based on this? Blade is based on the rumblings that Blade will now be like most likely not rated R and PG-13. Are you concerned about that?
Not that much. I'm curious how they're gonna incorporate the blood aspect of being a vampire with a PG-13 setting. But apart from that, it's kind of like, the comics have always been PG-13. People are fucking crazy if they think being R-rated makes a comic automatically better. Obviously, there have been Marvel comics that had an R rating with Marvel Max, but it's only like a handful of them. And I think Blade is one of those characters that can totally exist with a PG-13 setting. And the fact that we might get a daughter character here makes even more sense for them to go PG-13. Maybe they want this daughter character to be like maybe somewhat of a role model for a new generation of audiences. So it makes sense. It's not that much of a big deal for me that it's not R-rated anymore.
Yeah, it's a big deal on Twitter though. So
Yeah.
Deadpool won't work if everyone else is PG-13.
yeah. Anyway, it's miles away. So we're gonna learn more about Blade in the coming months, hopefully, and it's gonna be interesting to find out how it pans out. Anyway, let's move on to another MCU project in the form of Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings. Several weeks ago, a new Lego set was leaked, for this movie. It shows up various characters, and most importantly, the box features the first look at the titular hero's costume. It's red, like it's I'm not aware of the comic accurate costume of Shang-Chi, but it looks great. And there's a freaking dragon in Shang-Chi in Legend of Ten Rings, and wow, it's gonna be like an explosive film. And Joe, based on this leak, and we don't have this. I think this is legit. What do you think about Simulou's Shang-Chi costume based on this leak?
It makes me want a freaking trailer even more.
Mhm.
It looks great. It's certainly, I think a lot of people kind of expected like that, either a tracksuit direction or the dragon scale armlet, like armless design that has been, I think, in the latest incarnation of the character. I kind of love the design. I love the approach here. It seems very traditional, so steeped in the mythology of what Shang-Chi is going to really utilize as its backdrop. I love it. I cannot wait to see it in action. And it's Shang-Chi has been. It's amazing how little we know about this project, and it technically isn't that far away anymore. Okay, everything else was as well last year, but that's a different story. But I'm really excited, especially with like a freaking dragon on the box. It's like how will this look? How will this feel? I'm just hoping for a really fun MCU kung fu action film that pays tribute to like Jackie Chan and that generation of films.
Yeah, and it also featured another character, Mandarin's there, and
Mm-hmm.
also Death Dealer. Like, most people recently seen in a brief set photo from last year.
That's
That's his
such
name.
a cheesy name, though. Death Dealer, I deal in
Yeah,
death.
I am the Death Dealer, Shang-Chi. Come on, fight me. It's gonna be- Charles, how about you? What do you think about this Shang-Chi being an extravagant film filled with dragons, martial arts, and the Mandarin?
The dragon looks pretty sick. I mean, even though we've sort of known that there's gonna be like some sort of monster here, it is kind of cool that they're staying true to what the Chinese dragon looked like.
Yeah.
And that it's not like Fin Fang Foom, like a chubby green dragon with wings or something. I like that it resembles an actual Chinese dragon. I think that's pretty cool. The costume looks great. It looks a bit different from the red I guess tracksuit Shang-Chi has in the comics, but I think it's a good interpretation and live action. Apart from that, I do wonder if this specific Lego set is it like an actual scene here, because Lego sets have been notorious
Mm.
for just making up shit over the past decade or so with the Marvel
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I'm curious if this is one of the sequence where they just totally made up for the toy.
I miss the Mandarin in his little killer wagon with the gun on the back.
Yeah,
Oh god. I recall the Lego leak for Avengers Endgame where there's a bunch of Iron Man suits like in Avengers facility
True, yeah.
and didn't
really.
yeah, and then it didn't show up. It was so much hype.
I missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a leak way back 2018 and 19 2018 2018, a year before Endgame. So there's that. And lastly, but certainly not the least, because we now know the title for Spider-Man 3. Yay!
Ooh.
Woo!
After several teases and bluffs and trolls from from Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jacob Batalon a day before that reveal, it's now been confirmed that the title of a third Spider-Man film is Spider-Man No Way Home. Wow. Like it's like and it was a lot it was announced alongside a short video with with the trio that I mentioned earlier, as they revealed it subtly revealed it to a background, stuff like that. And Charles, Spider-Man No Way Home, of course, your thoughts?
It's an okay title. Certainly not the title I was expecting.
Hmm.
But then again, it's a title that maybe lends itself to the themes of Peter. Now that Peter has been outed as Spider-Man, his sense of comfort is no longer there. His idea of home isn't gonna be the same anymore. Maybe he literally gets stranded in the multiverse some point in this movie where he can't actually go home. Who knows? But it's a very fitting title for the themes of the movie.
Yeah, because No Way Home, his identity being outed, connect the dots,
Mm-hmm.
boom. It's going to be, and it's amazing. The promotion is amazing because when you see that whiteboard there, the theories from fans are actually some of it are there, like
Yeah.
home worlds, home run, home alone, not
Homesick.
home alone, homesick. There's also home sweet home. I can see it there.
I think Home Alone's on there with trademark
Yeah,
issues as a comment.
yeah. Copyright issues. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you? I'm gonna ask you. about how did you like the way of the title reveal for this film?
Uh, as an advertising guy, yeah, I love it. It was a very smart idea. Very simple, actually. Like, considering it was the first, like, everyone was focused on the titles that no one realized we got our technically first look at the film with the images. And everyone was like, oh my God, is this the title? And everyone's like, that sounds kind of bad or off. And it was just a very good ploy. I like that they didn't reveal the official title until the day after, like, to let people stew on it. I still think Homewrecker would have been hilarious because that would be the subtitle for Aunt May's storyline or love story with Happy.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
it's a great idea. I think it's one of Sony. Like, Sony, in my opinion, is not really the best when it comes to marketing. They either send out way too many trailers to really bank on everything, and I know whatever secrets they're trying to keep, they're going to spoil quite a bit because that's just what they do. They want to sell you on, oh my God, this twist is in here. For me, Terminator, Dark Genesis will always be the one where they like ruin the big twist in the story. But this was a great move. I think I hope we see a lot more teases. I'm really curious why we got the title for Spider-Man this early while they're postponing every other release they have. That's rather curious in my opinion, especially now that we're still waiting for any life or confirmation for Black Widow. It's an interesting idea, and it's going to be a very interesting year how they market films in general. So this was a great kind of easy, cheap way to say, hey, you wanted that title. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them are even expecting like a short teaser. Like, dude, they're still filming, so they can't show anything yet. So it's amazing. Spider-Man No Way Home. Hopefully this year. Hopefully is the term because we don't know. Given the vaccine rollout and the pandemic stuff, we don't know
Yeah.
how it will pan out in the next coming months. Because at this point, we're still not sure if Black Widow will stick in the May release date or Disney Plus releases on the horizon. But whatever the case, it's good that we have a title and filming is still underway. I hope they finish soon or I don't know when. But the good thing is the theories about the title will now be finished. And it's been confirmed already. Can't wait to find out if it's really a multiverse thing or I don't know. And fans will be disappointed if it's not. I don't know. Anyway, let's now move on to the big stuff, to the big reveal, to the big MCU project, which is WandaVision. Yay!
Yep.
WandaVision finale after 9 episodes. WandaVision has finally reached its end after a slew of fan theories, mysteries, intrigue, Twitter debates. It finally ended. Yay! And it set up a lot, and there was a lot of reveals. It lived up to the promise of, delivering MCU-filled action, the spectacle that we've been waiting after a sitcom-based approach in the first three episodes, 5 episodes. And there's a lot to break down, but I just want to find out because this is when you go on Twitter, there's a lot of reactions. I just want to find out this one question. This answer to this one question. Were you satisfied, whelmed, or underwhelmed? Joe, you first.
I was very satisfied. I think that the core of the story was extremely well done. They focused on what they wanted to focus on. My only gripes is that a lot of the fluff surrounding it kind of wasn't fleshed out enough, in my opinion, or at least not everything got a payoff that would make it stand out more. But in generally, I think it was a great new project for Marvel Studios. I really hope we see more creative things like this in the future and that they use the format to do just something new and different and not trying to bog down once again, especially with current reactions to things.
Yeah, and the main focus of the show is Wanda's evolution, Wanda's growth, Wanda's grief and trauma, and the show delivered on that. And I might say before I go to Charles, I might say that I'm satisfied, because the truth is the issue is with the fan theories. Like it's been hyped up in the past weeks, and the director even admitted that director Matt Shackman said that fans will be disappointed because their expectation will not be met with those fan theories, those cameos that been teased in the past weeks. So yeah, I'm satisfied. Charles, how about you?
I am satisfied too. It's not the train wreck that some fans are making it out to be just
Mm,
because their theories didn't come true. I have gripes with some of the choices they made as far as resolving the actual story. But
mm,
overall, it's kind of hard to get mad when you got such a great ending for the family when they're all in the house. Vision's goodbye to Wanda is like so good. It's so
mm.
heartwarming. It's so heartfelt. Yeah, overall, it's a great episode with some weaknesses, but again, it's far from the train wreck the fans are making it out to be.
Yeah, and gonna do our theories later. But my question is, what is your favorite WandaVision moment from episode 9, from the finale? I'm gonna start for you guys. My favorite part of the finale is the ending. Like the conversation between Wanda and Vision is so powerful in the end. Like it's so
Yeah,
emotional. I shed a tear, honestly.
Mm.
Like oh man, like the lines, the delivery, the performance of Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany is stunning, and they captured it. They captured the dynamic, and they've been working together in the past few years, and they in that scene alone, you can tell that they have an easy chemistry. Charles, how about you? What is your favorite moment in the finale?
probably that too. It's hard to beat. It's so good. It's so well written. It's so well made. Seeing Wanda's face as she's saying goodnight to her kids, it's kind of like, oh man, she's gonna fucking kill them. it's like
Yeah.
it's like it's like it's heavy. It's bittersweet. She's kind of you could see in Liz Olsen's acting that Wanda is content that she got to experience this life. She's also super sad that she has to say goodbye to it,
Hmm.
and it's just so good. I have no complaints about that scene.
Yeah. Joe, favorite moment in the finale?
Uh, I don't want to repeat anything, so I'll go to another favorite moment. This is a funny one for me. I don't know why, but the way the Darkhold is summoned by Agatha, and the way she opens it and like getting a look inside of it. We've seen the Darkhold before in Agents of Shield. There it
Yeah.
was like a bit of a magical book. It felt kind of like something's ripped out of Page Master or something. This book felt like some eldritch horror left behind, something that you think you can't read, but it'll just seep into your mind. And the combination with the post-credit sequence just made that a really memorable moment for me. Plus, the introduction of our first major magical item that has left the library from Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And it will probably change the landscape of the MCU because that's a powerful book. The Book of the Damned. Wow, that's a powerful
Which
title.
created vampires.
Another connection
Ooh.
to another interesting project called Blade. And this finale set up a lot, but it also resolved the one thing. It resolved uh Wanda's transformation as a Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
She's a Scarlet Witch. She has a great suit, guys. Like
Mhm.
great costume. And let's go here to the WandaVision finale set up several projects. Captain Marvel 2, of course, with that post-credit scene. Um, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, probably Ant-Man and the Wasp because of who's I don't know if he will show up there. But anyway, White Vision. What do you think about the introduction of the White Vision, and what are your theories about where he will pop up next? Because it was an open-ended question after because he just flew away. Who knows? What is the most likely project do you think that Vision will show up, Charles?
I
You
don't know.
first.
It's that whole like the way they sort of wrapped up that aspect of the fight was great philosophically. That whole debate about the ship of Theseus was great. But as far as Vision just flying out of the sky without even seeing Wanda, I mean, if he's the Vision that we already know, he has the memories of his past life before he got killed by Thanos. Do you think that the first thing he would do was to visit Wanda,
Yeah.
to help Wanda, give her a hug, give her a kiss, to make sure to let her know that, hey, I'm back, right? I feel like if he had done that, the show would have ended very, very differently in a very interesting way, but they didn't. So I'm not sure exactly what they want to do. If I had to guess, if they're doing like maybe a Young Avengers story, I know in the comics, the Young Avengers met a version of Vision that was younger, but not necessarily the same. Who helped form the team? Maybe they could do that. Maybe Armor Wars because he's technically still connected to Iron
Mm.
Man, but who knows at this point?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to tell based on that interaction alone, and there's a lot of questions. Like it's one of the biggest unanswered questions from the finale, at least. Like that White Vision wrap up. Joe, how about you?
Yeah, my if I had to put my money on it, I think Armor Wars seems like the biggest bet because that focus will just help. The thing is with the sequence is that the ship of Theseus is a fascinating dilemma, and they've really used that effectively because this is Vision. You know, Vision, they fight, but in reality, Vision loves to just kind of end things. It uses the trope of he's technically a machine, so you use a paradox to kind of screw with the machine's mind.
Yeah.
The theory I have is because this is very much Vision Quest storyline setup. I would love to have a separate like mini series, even if it's just like 4 episodes long, of this Vision kind of exploring the world. So like give us an actual Vision Quest comic that's like a sequel to this. Because I mean they call it the series finale, so I guess we're not getting a second season of WandaVision.
Yeah.
Though I personally believe that a lot of its problems could be solved with a sequel season, as dumb as it sounds. um, but yeah, he kind of just yeets out of there. He's just like, I am Vision, yoink. Not going to talk to anyone. Not going to discuss anything. I'm just Vision. I wonder if they're trying to imply that even though he has his memories, he doesn't have the emotions because he doesn't have the Mind Stone within him. So that's kind of why, like the emotional aspect of him, where we even see him shed a tear, which is a great comic callback, is this Mind Stone version. He is literally the mind of the version that she remembers, which is also why he was so overly emotional throughout the last, early in the beginning of the episodes. So this version is like he's emotionless, but he has the memory. So he's trying to like figure out what am I? When am I to these people? Where do I belong in the world? And I think that would be an interesting story on its own to explore. But at the same time, it probably is just going to be an appearance in Armor Wars, maybe even Secret Invasion. Like he just randomly shows up and everyone thinks he's dead. Now there's this white version of him. Who are you? We don't trust you. It's a scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to find that out. And there's a lot of unresolved plot threads. And another interesting here. I just want to know your reaction. Like, it's not a theory. I just want to know your reaction to Ralph Boner. Everyone is hyping that up. Like, Fox Quicksilver, stuff like that. Mephisto, even. Nicholas Scratch in the past. There are so many theories, and it ended up being Ralph Bonner. Charles, your reaction?
I mean, I've been aware of this since maybe the second episode.
Yeah.
Me and Charles Murphy heard about it. We were like, "That's pretty fucking funny." Like when he told me who it was, I was like, "Who's that?" Then Charles was like, "Oh, it's the guy Agnes keeps referring to as her husband." I'm like, "Whoa, that's pretty wild." So I got to process it a lot earlier than everyone else, but in the grand scheme of things, like Marvel can't do this shit. It's not like they're not allowed to pull these crazy subversions off. They're allowed to do it. They've garnered enough goodwill to pull shit like this. And at the end of the day, I understand that the premise of getting Evan Peters to play this sort of fake brother is like one of the most genius things ever. Like imagine them being in the writing room. They're talking about what to do with Wanda. What can Agnes do to Wanda to sort of mess with her mind? I imagine the light bulb moment they came up with when they sort of said when they maybe said, "Hey, what if we get Evan Peters to play her brother?" I think that would just fucking. I think Kevin Feige would have fucking fell from his chair because of how good of an idea that was, and I think that's it. The anger is somewhat valid, I guess. I can never dictate how people should respond to things. I think when you see that, it's only normal to sort of think, oh, maybe it's a multiverse thing, but it's totally not beyond the realm of fucking reasonable stuff for Marvel to do this. It's totally valid.
Yeah, it's a brilliant move. Like it managed to hype up future episode One Division after that episode because oh no,
Mm.
multiverse, Quicksilver, and then wow, boner. Joe, how about you?
Um, so I personally do say to some degree, like people are really mad about the boner joke, and they're going off on it. Like every twist or turn is now going to be some kind of dick joke at the long term. It isn't the first time Marvel Studio has pulled this. We've seen this with Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin, and even back then, people like there was a subset of people that thought this was genius, and there was a subset of people that thought this was was bullshit. And we're seeing the same thing now. And to some degree, this will be controversial, but I think to some degree, if you didn't piss people off with it, you didn't really do anything right with this twist.
Right.
Because it is that kind of twist to kind of get under people's skin. Like, who else could they cast? Let's be serious. If they couldn't get Aaron Taylor Johnson to reprise his role, though they imply that necromancy is a thing within this world and that she couldn't do it because his body was too far away, if they got any other actor to be this fake Quicksilver, would have anyone bought it?
No.
No one would have. So it is, and I think the problem is that a lot of people, we've been starved for Marvel content for over a year. This is the first big project. They just purchased the Fox rights. We had no idea about an X-Men film coming or not. We knew Fantastic Four was on the horizon. And of course, Wanda, this is the drawback of a character like Wanda Maximoff. In the comics, she's the daughter of Magneto, which was changed like 3 or 4 times, but that's the one thing everyone remembers. She was connected to Mephisto. She was connected to Chthon. She was connected to the House of M storyline. She got rid of mutants. She brought them back. So everyone kind of assumed this story had to do all of that because that's what Wanda is to those that have read the comics. And I'll say that the subset in the like online, I do understand that people are upset. My problem with the reveal, I think the Boner aspect is fine because I think it's also a play on a character named Boner from an old sitcom. So it's a sitcom reference, actually. I think Richard Boner. I'm not sure. I think Good Days or something. But first of all, it fits the character that like she just was like Boner, and he was still in that like 80s 90s cliche of bro with his little hands up boner. So he was in character. So the dick joke was fitting for the sequence. And it's just that it wasn't more that kind of tipped people off. I personally still think that there's a sequence missing with that character because he just never showed up again. That was like kind of the end of Evan Peters, and who's not a small-time actor. So it's just kind of this odd, open-ended book that just ended on a dick joke and wasn't continued. If they added some kind of reveal, it didn't have to be Quicksilver from Fox, but some kind of connection to what he has, and maybe a hint that there's more of this actor moving forward, I think we would see very different reactions. And that's kind of where I stand, especially with especially the moment she pulled out this really old-looking picture with his face on it, with his name on it. It kind of made me think, is he an aspiring actor or something? Because, why do you need to look at your own face? Because I think he might be the guy in Witness Protection Program that was hinted at early in the season. Which that's kind of my biggest problem with WandaVision. They set up some things and never really pay it off. Also because interviews kind of hype up smaller things that shouldn't have been hyped up as much. Because, what are the actors going to say? Oh, it's a nobody?
Yeah,
but
part of the job.
And that's kind of it's part of the job. The problem is that we're we have so much transparency is that we kind of hear everything. I think a normal person who has nothing to do with the internet thought it was hilarious and moved on with their life. To be honest.
Speaking of the missing persons, Ralph is absolutely the missing persons case.
Yeah.
They filmed some stuff with Jimmy Boo, I think catching him or some shit, but it's weird that they didn't address that.
Yeah.
When they had every opportunity to address that. But yeah, as far as I know, Ralph was the missing person.
my thought is that I think it would be fantastic if the reveal is he's Simon Williams. You have the shot. He seems like the most likely candidate because he's kind of holed up in that man cave. And it would be a great way to introduce him. I just think we want more Evan Peters in the future, and I really hope that I would love a little like one shot of that sequence being released to give us closure on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't resolve properly. Didn't get resolved properly. And wow,
The
and
Wu files.
yeah, the Who files, the X files thing. And there's only one scene of Kat Dennings Darcy there. Just
Yeah, she was really underutilized at the end.
yeah. After she had great she had great performances in the past episodes. Too bad she was only in one scene. Before we move on to the Scarlet Witch reveal, I mean the Scarlet Witch reveal how it changed the landscape of the MCU. Let's go over to that mid-credit scene where it sets up maybe Secret Invasion and Captain Marvel 2, because the Skrulls telling Monica that she wants Nick Fury needs her for a mission or something up above. Okay, so that's do you think that the sword is under Nick Fury now because of that scene, or do you think a more the real sword is up above, or do you think that both are connected? It's really confusing at this point. Joe, how about you?
I think Sword's going to continue. I don't think they introduced this organization to just kind of get rid of it, especially because Shield isn't around anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's a setup that Sword is going to realign to its original plans. Let's be honest, if there's one weak point of this story, it is Hayward of all
Oh, yeah.
characters, because
Yeah.
I think, like, to some degree, I've seen people actually like his character because he was the only one to say, she's mind controlling people, we need to get rid of her, which I can kind of understand. I just think that if they didn't turn him into, like, this massive prick for no reason, that storyline would have been better, but he just turned into this, oh, she's evil because she has abilities. Could have been handled better. I hope that the character returns to have some kind of redeeming factor. I think he would have been the perfect candidate for some kind of reveal. Like, why was he egging on Wanda to resurrect Vision?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, that's the kind of thing where I say that's where WandaVision tries to. They set up too many red herrings that they kind of wrote themselves in a corner accidentally with trying to be very not too surprising. Which I think the director Matt Shackman said that he doesn't like final twists. So that's probably the only reason we didn't get one, is because he just doesn't like that storyline. But I think Sword will continue. I will say, though, her pointing to the sky was really cheesy. That was why. She's a Skrull. We all can assume what she's hinting at.
Maybe
The roof.
maybe she meant the roof or the attic.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Maybe. I see, now I just want some kind of resolution to that stupid story.
Oh man. Charles, what do you think about Monica Rambeau's powers here? Like the full blown introduction as Photon or
I'm also
Spectrum.
I'm also mixed on that because like for the first 20 minutes of the episode, she's just in the room with Ralph.
Boner.
She's fucking listening. She's fucking sitting down, listening to him play guitar, and that's it. It's like you just got your fucking powers. Don't you wanna escape? And when she tries to escape, obviously she gets sort of schooled by Ralph. But even then, it's kind of like, god damn, it's like you're a fucking trained agent. You got some sort of power with you, even if you don't know how to use it. Your mom's best friend is Captain Marvel. You're friends with Skrulls. This world of superpowers isn't alien to you, pun intended. You're supposed to sort of understand that, oh shit, I might be able to just fucking take this guy out easier than it should have taken me. So I'm kind of mixed on how she actually gets to debut her powers and her life as a powered being. I mean that scene where she sort of stops the bullets is great, but come on, you got a fucking Vision there, White Vision fighting Vision, Agatha's fucking fighting everyone. You couldn't have fucking jumped in and helped. It feels like a very I guess unimaginative way to debut Monica as a superpowered being.
Yeah, I think they're saving it for the big screen.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was more the emotional anchor for the I also lost someone, and the problem is the big thing with WandaVision, in my opinion, that it kind of falters on is they had such a big cast of characters that a lot of them kind of felt completely underused. Like we get introduced in episode 2 to like the entire townspeople, and then Emma Caulfield's character Dottie, who never shows up until like one sequence in episode 8, and then like a bigger sequence in episode 9. Like Mr. Hart never shows up again, so that started the whole he's dead theories. I think the problem this show had is that they had a lot of characters, a lot of storylines they wanted to go through, but they didn't quite find the perfect balance to give the supporting cast the focus they deserved. And kind of just, that's why I say the core of the show worked. The other things just aren't as fleshed out as they could be.
You nailed that. That's a great description. Yeah, and I agree. Let's now move on to, the Scarlet Witch, the core of the show, like what Joe is saying. So she is properly the Scarlet Witch now from the comics, chaos magic and all. And Agatha said that she unleashed something or someone. And to directly tie to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, she has dark hold. She's somewhere in the mountains practicing, mastering her powers, mastering her chaos magic. And it will be interesting to find out because it's been confirmed that WandaVision will lead directly to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And what are your theories about that? Like, because she heard the twins. Do you think that the mission will be finding where the twins are in the Multiverse of Madness, or do you think that her training with the Dark Hold is what like creates a rift within that multiverse aspect, Charles?
Oh, I think it's definitely the Darkhold stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that that's where her sights are, and now I'm sure she wants to learn how to sort of do what she did, but safer. And obviously, as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and maybe that's how she opens up the multiverse. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy.
Mhm.
And Doctor Strange will not like that. Joe?
So the thing is, to me, is what I find interesting about the Scarlet Witch is that they introduced the Scarlet Witch as like this kind of one in a lifetime creation that comes into existence and has all the powers to control whatever. And I kind of wish the show delved more into that, especially because we saw the witch in the Salem trial with like the crown, the mother of Agatha, that was never really elaborated on. I find the concept extremely interesting, and I really hope that they don't shy away from kind of embracing some eldritch horror elements with this character, because obviously, whatever the Scarlet Witch is, it's connected to something evil or something bad. And I kind of am curious if we're going to go down the route that she is either separated from the Scarlet Witch, like a Phoenix Force-esque storyline, or that she kind of has to try. Because the thing is that I wrote this earlier today, is that like the ending proves she's not completely over her grief. If she was, she would have stayed in that town and made up for what she did. And I think while a lot of people said she didn't deserve like flying off for freedom, I think it kind of just highlights the fact that she didn't really get over it. She just kind of resented herself for doing what she did and trying to fix it and still selfishly trying to make it happen. The moment she heard her kids again, that's the path she's on. But I want, like, either that character is related to Chthon, who created the Darkhold, which would be a really interesting, like, setup that Chthon and the Scarlet Witch was, like, his messenger, and she was always destined for this kind of fate, and that her good intentions is how it creates the multiverse, because she's looking for her kids. She heard their voice. If they can't exist within her reality, she has to get them from a different reality, and I think that's kind of the setup there, and how she ends up looking for them, and that's why Doctor Strange gets involved. I love that the ending sequence. It does remind me a lot of Wundagore, which would be a really cool callback if they continue on that aspect.
Yeah.
And finally, the big thing is like a lot of people are wondering, why didn't Doctor Strange show up until now? I think that's going to get explained. I think there's a reason he wasn't around for this. And I wonder if like this was just this would be the catalyst that he shows up. Really curious which direction they go, and that this is. I really hope they don't like lean too far out and try to say, okay, we have to keep this as simple as possible. Give me Eldritch Horror. I want Cthulhu or Cthulhu, whatever, to show up because that would be amazing. Shuma Goroth. Give us Shuma Goroth in Doctor Strange too.
Wow.
Yeah. It will be interesting to find out what Doctor Strange's reasons are for not showing up in Westview, because he might be preoccupied with something else, something big, or I don't know.
He was buying Wong a sandwich again.
Oh, yeah. And wow, so that wraps it up for the first MCU Disney Plus show, and the long form storytelling worked in some ways because it kept the conversation going in the past few weeks. A lot of conversation on Twitter, if you know what I mean, and and they went one step further, like showcasing all the risks that they took here, sitcom tropes, everything, big massive cast, setting up things and setting up future projects. And the good thing is we're only 2 weeks away from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and just like WandaVision, expect numerous speculations, theories. Of course, no Mephisto theories this time because it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. So,
or is it?
I don't know. And okay, guys, WandaVision as a whole, what's your rating? 1 to 10. Joe, you first.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 to 9. I still think it's a wonderfully done show. It's Marvel Studios doing something new and inventive that I think should deserve more attention. That they tried something new. I respect them for sticking to their guns. They could have easily be like, all right, people are going to get mad. They did what they believed was the right story. They went with it. I think the supporting cast needed either trimming down or just more attention. Like this show really needed at least a 10th episode or at least some kind of build up as a seasonal format to kind of build up on what was left on. Especially because I think to some degree, the pandemic hit it hard. You kind of get the feeling like this was supposed to be right before Doctor Strange 2, which was going to be before Spider-Man 3. A lot happened, a lot changed, but I think we need to really praise what it does strong, and that is the core emotional aspect of this story. It's something new, and I think, hey, they're doing something new, and I can't wait to see what else they have up their sleeves, and I really hope we get more creative formats in the future.
Yeah. Before we go to Charles, mine is also an 8.5 over 10 because it's a bold risk for Marvel Studios to do sitcoms in a superhero movie universe, and it's amazing. From the moment I watched WandaVision episode 1, the first episode, like I was, wow, this is like Joe said, this is new. This is something unique, and and I can't wait. And the mysteries, the theories, it's all there. It's part of the fun, right? The theories are part of the fun, and I love how Wanda was developed through the 9 episodes, because we see her transformation, and and it was already teased that there's a lot more story to tell in Doctor Strange 2, and it'll be interesting to find that out. But overall, it's an 8.5 over 10 for me because just like everyone said, it's a bold risk, and it's an amazing project. Like, it's one of a kind, and it veered away from the traditional MCU approach from the first few episodes, and then it lived up to the promise of delivering that dramatic confrontations, the spectacle and stuff like that. Yeah, 8.5 over 10. Charles, 1 to 10. What is your WandaVision score?
For this episode, I'm gonna give it a 7. For the season, I'll probably give it a 8 or 9. I think
Okay.
all the stuff you said, I completely agree with. I think the show is a testament to Feige's macro vision of how the MCU should be. We've always been sort of, when they were doing movies, you were always like, oh, I wonder if they can even do what Jeff Loeb's doing on TV, and this kind of proves that, oh yeah, they can actually do it. They can do it just as good, if not better. And I'm excited for the future of Marvel. Uh, if it's gonna be on Disney Plus, I feel like Disney Plus is like the future for the MCU, and I can't wait for Falcon, which is like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, March 19th.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the long form storytelling works, and the fact we're getting MCU content weekly is a new thing, and it's also an impressive thing for Marvel Studios to do. Can't wait to find out how all the other shows, will also connect to one another, will also connect to the big screen stuff, the movies. It's going to be interesting to find out. And we also have a making of WandaVision episode, Marvel Studios Assembled, making of WandaVision, coming this March 12th. Yay! I'm gonna find out all of it, and I hope they will address the, what the fan theories and stuff there.
Oh yeah,
What
I
their
hope too.
reactions. I can't wait to find that out. Imagine them addressing that, and then
I want to now. I just want to show with this nothing more on Disney Plus with Kevin Feige in a room going through fan theories and just getting frustrated with each one he reads.
Yeah.
like the mean tweet
Seriously?
version, like that.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, for our listeners over at Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and over our followers on Twitter, what do you think about WandaVision's finale episode and WandaVision as a whole? Tweet us over at twitter.com/MCUExchange. You can also follow us on Twitter on that same Twitter account. You can also like us on YouTube and also on Spotify. That's MC Exchange Podcast. And you can also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/AaronChinas, AARONCHINAS.